TMZ pushes back and says they're standing 10 toes down with their source. So who's telling the truth here, man?
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal.
Guys, I have a lot of questions revolving around this David case because now I can't trust nobody anymore. I don't think any of us can trust any sources anymore. Can we trust the cops with what they said about how she was not frozen? Do we trust TMZ in what they're saying and saying that she was partially frozen and all the extra stuff they've been saying out here in these streets, in these true crime streets? I don't even know anymore. And the reason why I say this is because we got to look at straight up at this one right here. Okay. This is what started it all. I mean, this isn't really where it started all, but it was the reaction that we all had when LAPD said that TMZ is not telling the truth, that they have that they're putting out misinformation basically and saying that to say that she was even partially frozen and the fact that her head was removed from her body. They're now saying those things are not true. We already went through this in a live and I'm telling you guys, go check it out. But then recently, okay, just a little bit ago, TMZ, which we are all expecting them when they went live to basically say, hey, listen, our bad, we made some mistakes. Our source we thought was reliable was not as reliable as we thought they were going to be, right? Only to find out that they're standing 10 toes down with their source. They're still saying the body was partially frozen. They're not changing a damn thing. We got to take a look at this because this is absolutely crazy. All right. And we got them live talking about this whole situation as well. So medical examiner, they're still saying their source disputes what the LAPD said, which was this. Again, like I said, they said, yo, the information that they're putting out here in these streets is a lie. That is not true. But here's something that's very interesting that I do want to point out really, really quick. I want to make this abundantly clear. TMZ themselves has even said that LAPD, that local law enforcement, all right, and the medical examiner office have not been getting along very well for a while now. And now they said that. So there's a possibility that there's information that they're withholding from LAPD that could make LAPD look like a fool. And maybe TMZ really does have the inside information that maybe she really was partially frozen. But again, when you got LAPD basically saying like, no, they got all this information wrong. This is all jacked up. Guys, don't listen to that information. It's wrong. It does make you wonder now at this point, I'm at the point where I'm like, who is telling the truth and who isn't anymore? I didn't want this case to go and go off the rails, but now, lo and behold, we are here, which is ridiculous. But let's take a look at this, okay? They're still saying that Celeste Rivas's remains were partially frozen, and I still want to challenge that because it still doesn't make any sense. If they say that she had been in that car for several weeks or even months, it still doesn't make any sense that she was not thoroughly thawed out by 3 or 4 days, right? It just doesn't make sense. But again, LAPD is basically saying the same thing. It doesn't make sense. But now we're hearing from TMZ and their source, and they're basically saying, nah, she was. They're still standing 10 toes down on this, okay? They're doubling down now, okay? LAPD has come out to officially dispute TMZ's story. The body of Celeste was partially frozen when it was examined, but one source has doubled down. All right, so a source connected to the LA medical examiner, all right, insists Celeste's remains was partially frozen when it was discovered inside that car registered to David or DeForvide, okay? This is in square contradiction to what LAPD is saying on the mother-loving record. And it does make you wonder, why would they not, if it's true, if that is a factual piece of information, why wouldn't they actually just say, yeah, it is true, partially frozen? Why not just say that? Why LAPD holding back on that? And don't get me wrong, I get it that they don't like when information leaks out before everyone else, before they get a chance to leak out or, release the information in an official law, as an official statement. But at the same time, why not just get ahead of it? This also explains, if this is anywhere, shape, or form true, this kind of does make sense why they would turn to the medical examiner office and say, we are putting an order to make sure you guys keep your mouth shut. You're not allowed to say anything, put out a public statement, shut your mouth. Maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe that's why. You add the drama between LAPD and medical examiner's office. Then you have this source leaking out information before law enforcement is even able to get out the information. And so in retaliation, they said, oh, medical examiner's office, y'all shut the hell up. Yeah, now we have a court order saying you guys can't put out this information at all until we say so. So shut up. Maybe that's what's going on, but it doesn't make sense why the chief, the captain of the homicide division, would basically blatantly lie on record to the general public. Why would they do that? You see what I'm saying? We are living in some confusing and strange times, y'all. And we ain't even done with 2025. You know what I'm saying? Have mercy. Moving on, it's interesting. In one document from the medical examiner's office, it reads, the descendant was not live scanned due to waterlogged fingers. Translation, the medical examiner's office was unable to fingerprint Celeste's remains. So, because of waterlogged fingers, that doesn't automatically mean frozen. It just could be from secretions and other liquids, so on and so forth. It could mean so many different things. We don't know. Obviously, the general public, even TMZ, doesn't truly know the condition in which the body was found inside that bag, inside that Tesla. We only know that it was just badly decomposed. And of course, the body was basically falling apart, right? And they couldn't even identify whether it was a man or a woman's remains. You know what I mean? So there's some other things you could put in consideration here. But anyway, the medical examiner has put a security hold on the case. So as the LAPD continues to investigate. So TMZ broke the story. Although the ME, medical examiner, has not determined cause of demise, the LAPD is viewing the case as a homicide, and David is still most definitely a suspect. We already know that. That has been confirmed. We're told there is a second suspect as well. They are told. We have not heard any confirmation of that yet, by the way, guys. So whatever we hear from TMZ, honestly, with all due respect, we all have to take that with a grain of salt. There could very well be a suspect. There may not be another suspect. I truly think he didn't operate alone. I think he had help, for sure. So the fact that they may have another suspect identified, or that there's another suspect, period, that's a step in the right direction. But still, the step in the right direction is actually getting this man detained, okay? Getting this man arrested, all right? But they believe that someone helped him dismantle, for lack of a better term, Celeste remains. So, as we reported, our sources say the ME may not be able to determine cause or manner of demise because of the state and of the body, because of the state of what the body was in when it was discovered. All right. LAPD tells sources tell TMZ the relationship. This is also very important. The relationship, like I just said a second ago, the relationship between the medical examiner and the LAPD has been strained over the last few years. And I'm telling you right now, the fact that it's been strained over the last few years is not a good look. That is a terrible look for LAPD and the medical examiner's office, because at the end of the day, their problems, their personal issues need to be set aside, and they need to be working on getting justice for all of these people, all of these victims. That's where they should be meeting in the middle and saying goodbye to their feelings, okay? Stop getting in your fee-fees and get straight into it. The other thing is, too, why isn't the higher ups, the elected officials that run that town, that city, Why are they not having a whole on conversation and be like, get your ass in here, both of y'all, you and you, LAPD and head of LAPD and head of the medical examiner's office, y'all better scratch this beef right now or go ahead and put in your 2 weeks. Period. I will find somebody else. There's another person hungrier than you and is willing to set aside their differences so that there's justice made. Period, point blank. In my personal opinion, these people, okay, if it's literally causing a rift so badly that they can't even get justice for people, that they can't even do their mother-loving job, shoot, fire their asses. That's what I say. But let's get over to this video. This is TMZ. They just did this live. I was expecting them to be like, yeah, well, we made some mistakes now. Shucks. I'm real sorry for what we did. We won't never do that again. But no, they're not doing that. They're standing 10 toes down on this, y'all. They are still saying what they received, the information, what they heard, and what they received is scripture.
Been following this case, obviously, and one of the things they found was a video that was not shot at this home where he was living.
Right.
This is
but
crazy.
They noticed something in the background.
Yeah, this video is from September 4th, 2024. So before the spring trip in 2025, about eight months before. That was in April, I believe. There's in the background of this video, you see David in the foreground. In the background, there's a large appliance box. You can see it here, and we've isolated it. That apparently is a chest freezer, one of those freezers that you open, from the top, a deep freeze, and that's usually used to store meat at very, very low temperatures.
Now, here's the thing: when you see this, allegedly, I don't know how they were able to see this footage and go, "Oh yeah, that's a deep freezer." You know what I'm saying? I don't know how they were able to do that, okay? That's another conversation in itself. But at the same time, does this even look like this is his home? This looks like this is somebody else's spot. But again, he is living in this multi-million-dollar mansion in the Hollywood Hills. Maybe it does have more than just one kitchen. I don't know, but it does seem like I want to ask questions, okay? I get people were able to find this deep freezer box allegedly in the background of this, I'm sure a social media post or a Snapchat video or something of that sort. But I still am going to be asking questions because I think that's the right thing to do.
In movies and things like that, you can see body parts are often in those for serial killers trying to hide bodies and so forth. Right. It goes to a lower temperature and may provide some sort of clue as to how they got this in such a state that it was still partially frozen when it was discovered in the car.
The odd thing about it is,
but again, that doesn't make any sense. Because if her body was in that car for a good long time, more than just one day, that would mean it had more than enough time in that LA heat to warm up, for lack of a better term. She literally was in a slow cooker, y'all. That's what it was. She was in an oven, literally roasting. So a part of me does still make me wonder how credible their source is. But let's continue. Let's hear a little bit more.
The timing that you're talking September 2024. Now,
and we have no idea if by this spring David had access to that freezer wherever it was.
We do know from the background of the video that it's not in any of David's 2 rental homes.
Right, and also remember, if the authorities say that they went to that the body may have been dismembered in Santa Barbara County in the spring of this year, that would be months and months and months and months and months later than the time that video was shot.
And he could have been planning it that long. We don't know if that's what happened.
I mean, here it is. We don't know how long he was planning this for, if he was planning this at all, if this was just a moment of passion, you know what I mean? Like just a very terrible situation where things just happened. And of course, she loses her life and then a cover-up ensues. We don't know. But one thing is for sure, just for the fact that they're still talking about the fact that she was dismantled, that her head was removed from her body, and that she was frozen. The fact that they're still talking about it says to me that they're still standing 10 toes down on this. They're not letting it up. They believe their source, and their source is coming from a medical examiner source. This isn't coming from LAPD. So could it be that, like what we talked about in the live earlier today, could it be that, I don't know, that LAPD is trying to make TMZ look dumb, trying to make the medical examiner's office look dumb as well? I don't know. Are they in their feelings? Is egos coming into play solely because TMZ was able to unearth some information that they weren't cool with getting unearthed yet? I don't know. But like I said, LAPD, captain of the freaking homicide division, his opportunity when he got interviewed by People magazine, he had an opportunity to set the record straight. If he lied, why would he lie? That would mean instant termination on his job if he was lying. He's got a lot to risk. So again, like I say, why would this guy lie? Then at the same time, how reliable is TMZ's source? That's the other question too. Remember, the fact that they still are saying that her body was frozen, and then of course her head was removed from her body, still says something to me. They're going against what LAPD has already said out here in these streets. This is getting a lot more messier than we wanted. Now it's turning into more of a circus, and it's now becoming a he said, she said situation that none of us are ready for. None of us want. Real talk. We don't want that. We just want transparency. We want people arrested, and we want justice. That's all we want. But what say you guys? Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you leaning more on TMZ? Are you team TMZ or are you team LAPD? The rift that's going on between LAPD and medical examiner is absolutely insane. And that shows potential corruption there too, if you really think about it. Not a good thing, guys. It's not a good look. And it's not a good look on that mayor too. Okay? Mayor Bass, you better whip this team into shape as soon as possible. But anyway, guys, that's the video. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit that like button down below. Crush that subscribe button. And we'll be talking here soon. We're keeping an eye on this. We'll see what happens here. But I don't know what to believe anymore. This is terrible. It's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.